Welcome to the deep dive. You send us the sources, and we dig in to get the key insights fast.
Quick and efficient, that's the idea.
Exactly. So today we're looking at Andrew A.J. Johnson. He's a YouTube artist.
Right, and specifically his 1-minute song, and maybe even more interestingly, his 15-second song.
Yeah, we've got transcripts from his YouTube videos talking about them, plus some of his TikTok posts.
A good mix of sources to understand what's going on.
So our mission here is to kind of figure out, like, why did he make these? What's he saying about social media, about, being creative today?
And maybe what it means for, well, for all of us interacting online.
Okay, let's jump right in. What's the origin story here?
Well, it seems these songs, he calls them Nodesy songs, actually came from a pretty serious place.
Not just for laughs, then.
Not entirely. He talks about feeling this pressure, like he was being creatively squeezed by how you have to format stuff for social media.
Okay. That makes sense. You see that everywhere. This pressure to fit the algorithm, fit the tiny screen time.
Exactly. So the 1-minute song was sort of his first attempt to push back against that, to make a statement with the format.
Like, okay, you want short, here's a minute. A whole minute dedicated to the idea of having only a minute.
Precisely. He thought that might be enough to get the point across.
But apparently not, because then came the 15-second song.
Yeah, and that one seems to have come about because, well, social media moves so incredibly fast, he felt maybe even the 1-minute song would just get lost,
Like a minute is an eternity on TikTok or Reels.
It can feel like it. So the 15-second one was almost an escalation, driven by that relentless pace.
But here's where it gets kind of weird, or at least really interesting. He didn't just make the 15-second song. He had a strong reaction to it himself.
A very strong reaction. He said it scared the daylights out of him.
Wow. Scared. Why? What scared him about his own 15-second creation?
Well, a couple of things. He felt it was somehow overproduced, even though he deliberately kept the vocals really basic, like dry with no auto-tune or anything.
Okay, strange to feel a 15-second dry vocal track is overproduced.
Right. But more than that, he heard something in it. He described these melancholic, frustrated, darker undertones.
In 15 seconds.
In 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And he found the whole idea that he felt compelled to make something that short. He called it dystopian.
Dystopian. That's heavy. So he's making it to comment on the absurdity, right? The absurdity of counting nanoseconds and frames.
That seems to be the intention, pointing out how ridiculous it is to work under those constraints.
But then he kind of questions himself, doesn't he? Like, is the message actually getting through if I'm still doing it, still making and sharing these super short things?
That's the paradox, isn't it? Can you effectively critique the game while you're still playing it? It's a tough spot for creators.
Yeah, definitely. And it leads him to this this warning he gives. He calls it a cautionary tale.
He's quite explicit about it.
Yeah.
He warns people against squeezing yourself into fractions of time.
Saying it's a dangerous game. How so? What's the danger?
He believes it can actually warp your sense of time and distort your sense of self, which is a pretty serious claim.
Warping your sense of time.
Yeah.
Distorting your sense of self. Because you're constantly chopping things up.
Yeah, he says very directly, 1 second or nanosecond is not gold. And he admits, splicing and dicing up fractions of time really messed me up for a while.
Whoa, okay. So it's personal experience talking there.
Seems like it. And his takeaway message from that is pretty clear. You're worth more than seconds.
That's powerful. It ties into this whole bigger picture of attention spans, doesn't it?
Absolutely. He contrasts like pre-internet times where maybe an 8 or 10-second pause in a conversation was normal.
Totally normal. You wouldn't even notice it.
Right. But now, online, he says 3 seconds of silence, and you might lose your audience. Poof, they're gone.
It feels true, unfortunately. That constant need for stimulation.
And he seems to think there's kind of no going back from how social media has rewired our communication.
So what does that mean for creators? Artists, musicians, writers?
Well, he sees it impacting everyone. Dancers, singers, producers, basically anyone trying to express something needs to learn how to operate in this soundbite-clipped communication culture, as he puts it.
Soundbite culture. That definitely sums it up. But his critique goes deeper than just the length, right? He seems worried about the values of the internet right now.
Yeah, he raises this concern that maybe it's become mostly about entertainment, just quick hits, rather than fostering genuine connection.
And does he think that affects everyone equally?
No, he specifically mentions that small creators are at a disadvantage here.
How so?
Because if everything is geared towards instant viral moments, It's much harder for someone just starting out trying to build something meaningful, maybe something quieter, to get seen or heard.
Right, the system favors the loud and fast.
And he gets quite pointed about it. He calls the expectation for everything to be super quick and to the point, indignant, inhumane.
Indignant, inhumane.
Yeah,
That's strong language. Like, it's disrespectful to the creator's effort.
exactly. Like there's no respect for the time and thought that goes into making something. He calls it a new broadcast standard where basically no one's going to give you the time of day.
That sounds pretty bleak, actually. A bit hopeless.
It does paint a stark picture, yeah.
Huh.
But interestingly, he sort of pivots from that critique towards um, a more positive message, or at least a plea.
Okay. What's the plea?
It comes down to kindness, essentially. He talks about being kind to yourself, be kind to your mind, he says.
Amidst all this pressure and noise.
Right. And also kindness towards others. He asks asks us to consider not pressuring others to have to keep squeezing themselves, just to be faster, quicker, punchier.
So a call to ease up a bit, maybe
Mhm.
create a less demanding online space.
Yeah, maybe a less bully-like environment is how he frames it.
And you can see him grappling with this stuff in his own recent content, right? Like on
Well,
TikTok.
definitely. It's fascinating to watch. There's this one post promoting 15-second song karaoke.
Karaoke for a 15-second song.
And the caption is just dripping with sarcasm about the pressure. It's like, every nanosecond counts, apparently, so do it quickly and right, or else PPL will throw tomatoes at you.
Huh. Okay, so he's using humor to make the point. You feel that stress he's talking about.
You really do.
Yeah.
But then you look at his feed, and it's not just that. It's this whole mix, like short, funny bits, references to Rick James or Chappelle's show.
Okay, standard TikTok fare sometimes.
Yeah, memes, embracing awkwardness,
Mm.
but then also like longer videos where he's talking seriously about mental health or his own artistic process, or even the Dunning-Kruger effect and how it relates to creating things.
So he's living the paradox himself, using the short form platform for quick hits, but also trying to carve out space for deeper reflection.
Exactly. He's navigating all these different pressures and formats. And you see this right alongside, totally unrelated trending TikTok stuff. Fishing videos, bears, cute babies, talking parrots.
Which just emphasizes his point, I guess.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of stuff competing for those seconds of attention.
It really does. And it's worth remembering his earlier stuff, too, like the original 1-minute song video on YouTube.
What about that one?
The lyrics themselves are talking directly to the listener about only having a minute, even asking point blank, like, do you care? It's commentary built right into the song.
Kinda.
And he has another YouTube video called The Problem with 15 30-second videos.
Okay, so he elaborates there.
Yeah, he goes deeper into how this focus on perfection in tiny snippets can be really damaging, especially maybe for marginalized creators, and how it just flattens the experience of music, prioritizing viral moments over, an actual song's journey.
Right, you lose the build-up, the dynamics, the story a longer piece can tell.
Precisely. It's all about the hook, the instant hit.
So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. What are the main takeaways from digging into Andrew A.J. Johnson's work here?
Well, I think it's clear he's using his own art, these really short songs, to explore and critique the intense time pressures of creating for social media today.
He's sort of wrestling with it in public, pointing out the downsides of this relentless drive for brevity.
Yeah, and questioning what happens when speed and instant gratification become the main goals.
And ultimately, despite the critique, or maybe because of it, he lands on this call for more empathy, more patience.
Exactly. Be kinder to ourselves as creators and consumers, and maybe don't push others quite so hard to just be faster all the time.
It's a really interesting use of the medium against itself, in a way.
It really is, using these tiny fragments to spark a bigger conversation about what we value.
Which leaves us, and you, with a final thought to chew on. In this world that seems to demand everything be shorter, faster, punchier, what are we potentially losing?
Yeah, what about depth? Nuance,
Mm.
the simple experience of letting an idea unfold, whether you're the one making it or the one taking it in.
How does this whole dynamic shape how you interact with content online? Something to consider.
Definitely something to think about.
Thanks for taking the deep dive with us.